As of the evening of October the 3rd, many of the article presentation submissions have been received. However, there are still a few more coming in. For upcoming class dates, this upcoming week we'll have a midterm exam that will be able to be completed online, and there will be additional instructions on how to provide presentation feedback for the randomly selected article presentation submission that you will be reviewing. The midterm exam and the presentation feedback will be submitted by probably October the 10th. I might extend it to October the 11th. An outline will be coming up here in a couple weeks. So the outline will be done by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, October the 17th. And a few weeks after that, the background section of the paper will be due. And then probably 1 week after that, the public health significance and intro of the paper will be due. We'll be going over these latter two more in the coming weeks. For now, the focus will be kind of reviewing again how the midterm will be conducted. So for preparing, you'll be doing this week on Blackboard. There will be a review guide. Actually, the review guide's already on Blackboard. It's been on Blackboard, and you'll be able to complete that review guide in advance, and that would be very helpful for you. You shall have reviewed all the content videos posted from the beginning of the class until this date. And there will be additional content associated with this evening uploaded regarding hypothesis testing and research question generation. There will be a randomized pool of questions. It will be timed, and you'll need to finish it within approximately 60 minutes. You're allowed to use the web, you're allowed to use notes, you're just not allowed to consult with other people. Following the exam next week, you'll also have an outline that will be due here on the 17th. How are you going to prepare for it? Well, first of all, keep this in mind. This is when the date will be for it to be submitted. You'll be using an outline template. I have provided a template, or the template will be provided on Blackboard. I'll show you the template here as part of this video after we're finished. You'll select foundational and concentration specific competencies. Your outline will have a spot for you to describe the problem and hypothesis. You'll organize your background and you'll describe your planned approach. So I'm going to show you the template for the outline so that you have that in mind, and you'll want to use this week to also prepare for the exam. If you want to use this week also to prepare for the outline template or to begin it, you may do so. So if you have any questions, you can contact me. At this time, I'm going to pull up the outline template. So the outline template is being provided here. Ultimately, the outline that you end up submitting will likely occupy at least 4.5 pages, possibly 5 or 6 pages. For your article outline template, you will enter a topic name. It very well may be the same topic name that you have used on the literature reviewing assignments. You'll provide your name, and then you will select at least 1 or 2 other foundational competencies from a list. So these competencies that you'll be selecting from a list will align with whatever you anticipate your final project in HEA 880 or EHS 890 to align with. So the competencies that you'll be selecting can come from this particular list here. One of them is already selected for you: the communicate audience appropriate public health content in writing and thorough oral presentation. You'll be doing that with whatever your final project is in your EHS 890 grad project course. But before we go too far into the actual integrated learning experience course, which could be HEA 880 or EHS 890 depending upon your concentration, we need to start thinking about how our projects are going to align with at least one more of these foundational competencies. You can also select 2 if you'd like. Upon selecting which competencies you think will most align with whatever your project is pertaining to, you will provide the text from the actual document. So for example, if you have interpret results of data analysis for public health research, policy, or practice, you would put number 4 and then provide that text verbatim. If you have another one where it might be apply epidemiological methods or discuss multiple dimensions or whatever one of these other ones might be, you would provide the number and also write that out. Upon completing your foundational competencies that you'll be selecting, this should be fairly easy to do, you will then identify concentration-specific competencies that you think would relate to your particular project. You should select at least 1 or 2 concentration-specific competencies. If you are in health promotion, you should select from this list of 5. If you are in the environmental side of the house, you will select from one of these 5, or you'll select 2. But do not select 1 from here and 1 from there. You should select 1 or 2 from your specific concentration. You will put the number, if it's number 1 or number 5 or 3 or whatever, and then you will write out verbatim exactly what it says. So if you choose number 1, examine sources and pathways of environmental and occupational health hazard exposures, you put the number 1 there and you would provide that text. Next, you will end up providing some introduction information. We're going to go over some of this later on here through the hypothesis aspect of the course. You will not need to use any references at this point. So this is just a chance for you to kind of organize your thoughts. State why you think whatever it is that you're working on is a problem. So you can leave this here. Letter A, you can leave it statement of the problem. Letter B, you'll leave this as public health significance. You can get rid of the words insert text. For number 1, number 2, you should be kind of providing some text about why this is important. You should explain why this is a problem. Public health significance. If there are any data out there on this, you should feel free to include data. Again, you will not need to use any particular references or anything like that. So you may have several bullets on why this is relevant. And we're looking at how many people are being affected, economic impact due to these illnesses, or economic impact due to this type of mortality, or lost productivity by workers, or unacceptably high levels of disease in one population versus another. If you can provide some numbers, that's usually really helpful. If you want to use references, you're more than welcome to do so for your own note keeping, but it's not required here for this particular assignment. For your research question, consult the videos that we produced on the research question and hypothesis topic, but you should provide at least a testable research question somewhere in here. If you're not doing a research project, if you're planning to develop a program or a public health tool rather than actually doing a bona fide research question, you should still be prepared to explain how or why you would assess whatever that public health tool that's developed. For the hypothesis, you're going to need to explain what's expected to happen, and you should think of it through the lens of a statistician. Is there going to be a significant association or significant correlation, significant difference? If you have more than one hypothesis, you can include it. You probably shouldn't have more than 2 or 3. Background. So the background literature review, you can have your own headings. You probably should have at least 3 big areas. You could have as many as 5 big areas possibly, or even 6. So give them headings. These are going to be very specific to whatever your topic is about. Then the last section is the method section, and this will ultimately be more fully developed as you start collecting data, but for now, it's important for you to kind of at least describe how you're planning to collect data, or from where are the data going to come from. Are you collecting lab samples? Are you downloading the data? If you're doing an epidemiological study where you've downloaded the data, what kind of study design are you doing? Are you doing an ecologic study? Are you downloading data that was already gathered from like a survey, so you're doing a cross-sectional study using existing data? So why are you choosing this method? You know, if you have an idea of how many people are involved or which counties you're focusing on, you might want to include that kind of information. And if you think that your design will have some limitations, go ahead and feel free to admit the limitations now. The objective here is for you to start thinking about how to focus your effort so that when you start actually doing this actual project, you'll be prepared. Again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You've got my email address. It's jason.marion@eku.edu.